Okay. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the Dark Conservatarian. I'd like to thank Loudmouth Reviews first of all for let me go on his channel to guest stream Strike Force on this channel. I mean, should be an advantageous opportunity for the both of us. And so, how are you doing, Loudmouth and S-Man?
Okay. You know, a few hours before I got here, what is it? I watched How I Think I'm Real's latest response to No Bullshit, and there was this one moment. I was eating dinner with my family. I was at my aunt's house before coming back here. Okay, and there's one part in the middle where I just laughed out loud so hard that everyone's just started staring at me like, "What the fuck?" It was when he played this clip from Brooks. He's saying that because the Hulk doesn't turn into the Hulk in Infinity War, that it was SJWs demasculating the most manly Avenger, all right, giving him erectile dysfunction.
What the fuck? Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God. Brooks is just something else. I mean, if a ordinary Twinkie represented the stupidity of the average YouTuber, Brooks's Twinkie would stretch from here to Fifth Avenue.
Holy fuck. Oh, that's
a big Twinkie.
That's what she said. Anyway, so your article is DarkCon. Okay. I mean, I'm doing all right. Nothing really all that eventful, but all right. I mean, let's see the article. Trump-Kim summit. United States and North Korean leaders arrive in Singapore. U.S. President. If
I could open up.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right. So, in the recent news, and to respond to the crazy Kurt Ghibli, what movies you're gonna review? This is more of a political news stream than it is going to be like an actual movie review stream. So sorry to disappoint, sir. I am commandeering Loudmouth's channel. But anyway, so in the news recently, the Korean Peace Summit has been going kind of back and forth as to whether it would happen or not. But since we're this close, and by the looks of this article, it looks like that it will happen, that the peace talks are still on. As the BBC reports, Trump-Kim summit, U.S. and North Korea leaders arrive in Singapore. U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un have arrived in Singapore for their historic summit. Mr. Trump flew in aboard Air Force One a few hours after Mr. Kim touched down with his entourage. The two men are staying in separate hotels not far from each other and are preparing for Tuesday's meeting on the resort island of Sentosa. Mr. Kim told Singapore's Prime Minister, "The entire world is watching." Well, gee, no shit. Mr. Trump has called it a one-time shot at peace. It is definitely a rare occasion. And by the way, if you guys want to like put in your own 2 cents, like stop me when I'm in the middle of reading at any point. The U.S. hopes the summit will kickstart a process that eventually sees Mr. Kim give up nuclear weapons. Well, so far there isn't.
I have to call that North Korea is serious about this. I think they're just stalling.
I think they're just stalling? Okay.
That's my opinion. North Korea's gone back on their word many, many times.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think that they are going to be at all. Oh, where'd the fuck Guest Man go? I just noticed that.
Yeah, he left.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, I mean, what I have read about the whole giving up nuclear weapons, like, he's definitely not serious about that. I mean, he's going to like dial down his nuclear testing, but he's not going to give up nuclear weapons. Like, I keep on getting tired of this whole idea of him giving up nuclear weapons because there isn't any actual sign that President quote unquote Kim is going to be giving them up. The two leaders have an extraordinary up and down relationship over the past 18 months. Up and down relationship. That's like a very dialed down way of describing this relationship. Trading insults and threatening war before abruptly changing tack and moving towards a face-to-face meeting. How has the day unfolded? Because so little is known about the reclusive North Korean leader, even the plane he would be flying in from Pyongyang to Singapore became the subject of speculation. The BBC's Rupert Wingfield Hayes said 3 aircraft took off from Pyongyang, an Ilyushin, however you pronounce that, transport plane carrying Mr. Kim's armored limousine, then an Air China 747, which normally carries the Chinese president, and lastly, Mr. Kim's personal jet, a Soviet-era Ilyushin 62. It eventually became apparent that he had arrived in the Air China plane after Singapore's foreign minister posted a photo of him greeting Mr. Kim on Instagram. Why does he need 3 different planes? That's kind of odd to me. But anyway.
For his entourage.
I see. Like
So,
all the
maybe no, I have another theory. Maybe he saw the last Game of Thrones when Daenerys wanted to show all her power by showing all her dragons. And maybe he just said, well, Daenerys has 3 dragons, therefore I need to come in 3 planes.
What the fuck? Are you guys seeing this? Like, there's a picture of them 2 embracing each other. That's...
Yeah,
I think those were the 2 imposters. Like the 2 imposter ones in Singapore.
Okay. Trump prefers unscripted Kim summit to G7 ritual. Okay. Secrecy surrounded the 5-star St. Regis Hotel where he is staying too. Only North Korean media workers dressed in identical black suits were able to move freely around the building, and tourists taking photos in communal areas were accosted by guards, Reuters news agency reported. Mr. Trump landed in Singapore later in the evening, having flown from a contentious G7 meeting in Canada. He told a reporter he felt very good about the summit before heading to his hotel, the Shangri-La, about half a mile from Mr. Kim's. How did we get here? Mr. Trump's first year in office was marked by bitter exchanges with Mr. Kim as North Korea conducted several ballistic missile tests in defiance of international warnings. The U.S. president vowed to unleash fire and fury if Pyongyang kept threatening the U.S. He also referred to Mr. Kim as Little Rocket Man, which is a nothing title in my opinion. In return, Mr. Kim called him mentally deranged and a dotard.
Yeah, both of them are right.
If I may say something, like I've said millions of times, I do not trust North Korea or, Kim Jong-un. They've pretended to be peaceful and all this kind of stuff in order to get trade and build up their, money and economics. And then they go behind us and backstab us multiple times.
That might be the ultimate scheme of things, is that he's just being deceitful with the entire world and not just Trump. Okay.
I mean, hell, his father did that.
Right?
His father did that all the time.
Oh, easily.
So we'll never know for certain until there is actual action, because this is just words so far. If he was to actually give up his nuclear weapons, which is highly, highly doubtful, then we'll never know for certain, for absolute certain, if Kim is serious or not. But the talks are still on, it seems at least. Despite the White House's maximum pressure campaign, the North remained defiant and carried out its 6th nuclear test in September 2017. Soon after, Mr. Kim declared that his country had achieved its mission of becoming a nuclear state with missiles that could reach the U.S. Damn. That's kind of scary. But in early 2018, North Korea began attempts to improve relations with South Korea by sending a team and delegates to the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. In March, Mr. Trump surprised the world by accepting an invitation from Mr. Kim delivered via Seoul to meet in person. Since then, the path to the summit has been rocky, with Mr. Trump at one point calling it off completely, but after some diplomatic scrambling, the 2 leaders will now sit down together. Yeah, see, it keeps on going back and forth, back and forth. JJ, if you rustle again, I swear, stop rustling with your
I'm not
rustling.
phone.
Well, it sounded like you're moving around a lot, and the microphone is picking it up. Anyway, since then, the path to the summit, or I already read that paragraph. Singapore is only the 3rd country Mr. Kim has visited since he became leader in 2011. Wow. Talk about a sheltered little man, especially for a world leader, I think. The U.S. wants North Korea to get rid of its nuclear weapons in an irreversible manner that can be verified internationally. Only when steps begin to be taken in that direction will it receive relief from the grip of UN sanctions, Defense Secretary Jim Mattis recently said. But this does not mean the U.S. is expecting to get a final deal in Singapore. President Trump has described it as a get-to-know-you situation and said it's going to be a process. Yeah, it kind of reemphasizes that this is so far just words and not actions so far. Analysts say that Mr. Kim, by winning the prestige of a meeting with the world's most powerful leader, has already gained a victory. They also question why he would give up his nuclear weapons after pushing so hard to get them. Well, the thing is, we haven't heard anything from them to say for absolute certain that he definitely is going to get rid of his nuclear weapons. Just freezing up the testing is all. Some say he would never do it unless everyone else on the Korean Peninsula disarmed too, including the U.S. How much longer does this? Looks like we're almost done. However, Mr. Kim has also said he now wants to focus on building the North Korean economy and thus wants sanctions relief and international investment. The question is, what concessions is he is willing to make, and whether he will stick to any promises. And like JJ said earlier, he doesn't trust Kim, so who knows? He might not keep any of those promises. Pledges to scrap the nuclear program have been made before by his predecessors. What could actually happen? It's hard to say, but Mr. Trump has signaled that they could sign an agreement to formally end the Korean War, which ended in a truce in 1953. Doing that would probably be the easy part, he said. The U.S. president has also said that if he thinks things are going badly, he will walk out of the meeting. But if things go well, Mr. Kim could receive an invitation to the White House. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who has met Mr. Kim twice in recent months, said he believed he is prepared to denuclearize and agree big and bold changes. But the North Koreans have not given much away about their position. Yeah, we'll believe it when we see it. So.
Exactly.
What was the next one? Trump could drop accused ISIS fighter John Doe in Syria in 72 hours. This was kind of interesting. I think I heard another article talking about of how I don't know what the situation is exactly. Of him releasing a prisoner or something. All right, so Washington Examiner, Trump could drop accused ISIS fighter John Doe in Syria in next 72 hours. The Trump administration wants to release a dual U.S.-Saudi citizen accused of being an ISIS fighter by the week's end. According to court documents filed Wednesday, the administration wishes to release him in an undisclosed Syrian town in the next 72 hours. Known only as John Doe, the man has been held as an enemy combatant in U.S. custody in Iraq since September after he was turned over by Syrian Democratic Forces, an American-backed militia group. SDF apprehended him at the border of Turkey and Syria. Doe, however, insists he was in Syria to report, quote-unquote, on ISIS rather than lend support to the organization. In the June 6 petition before the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, Justice Department attorneys on behalf of Defense Secretary Jim Mattis gave notice to Doe that the U.S. government intended to release him in a town or outside an internally displaced person camp. Petitioner Doe did not identify a preference between the two locations and would not agree to the release as respondent, the Trump administration, described it. The document reads, accordingly, out of an abundance of caution, the department is filing this notice of its intent to release petitioner in the town specified in the declaration no sooner than 72 hours hence. It continues referring to an attached declaration not publicly available. And she tweets, Zoe Tillman tweets, new, DOJ says the government plans to release John Doe, the American suspected of ties to ISIS, who has for months been challenging his detention by the U.S. military in Iraq. Plan is to release him in Syria, per filing. What do you guys think? Do you think that he is actually telling the truth, that he was only reporting, or do you have suspicions that he might have been to collaborate with ISIS or something?
It's difficult to say. There's really not enough facts there to make a determination.
Yeah, there's not enough evidence to prove either one.
So I'd just say innocent until proven guilty, right?
True.
So in that case, it's probably safe to say that Trump is making the right call of releasing him in Syria.
Probably.
Would you say? Okay. The ACLU, which is representing the man in his habeas corpus petition, slammed the Trump administration's decision on Wednesday as a death warrant as opposed to a release. Well, I guess there is a bit of a point to be made there because Syria is in the middle of a civil war. Instead of offering a safe release, they want to dump an American citizen onto the side of the road in a war-torn country without any assurances of protection and no identification. ACLU attorney Jonathan Hafetz, however you pronounce it, said in a statement, "Our fight for our client's right to due process has also become a fight for his right to life. We'll be asking the court to immediately intervene and ensure the safe release of our client," he added. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia in May denied a previous Pentagon request to transfer Doe to Saudi Arabia, where he also has citizenship. Well, it's better that than interrogating the guy for information from ISIS or just outright executing him and whatnot. So,
And plus, if he is ISIS, he probably would get killed and no blood on the Americans' hands.
Malwarebytes. Okay. Thank you, Malwarebytes, for blocking again. Man, some of the websites I visit, I swear. All right. So, what do you guys think? I mean, what have you all heard so far about the whole story of California rationing water?
I gave my opinion on it before we went live. It's absolutely insane that they don't just head west. All right, if they're searching for water, just keep heading west, and oh my God, look at all this water. All right, we hit the jackpot, people. Problem solved. Desalinate.
I kind of have to agree with Loudmouth on this one.
Yes, desalinate the damn ocean. All right, they're in front of the largest body of water, all right, in the entire planet, okay? All they need to do is desalinate it.
Yeah, just get rid of all the salt and, clean and make sure it's, hygienic. And wait, what the fuck?
I mean, it does take extra energy, but it's there. The water's there.
All right, they're in front. Sorry about that. Hopefully that'll be the absolutely only cutout that I'll get this entire time. Anyway, yeah. I agree with Loudmouth.
You really need to get a pop filter.
A pop filter?
Yeah.
Rather than the sock. Why? Because you think it looks tacky?
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah. I mean, what I need more importantly is like a hard line or better internet connection of some sorts. Maybe I need a new internet adapter or something. But
I have the same problem.
He made mine on a recent stream, said that it could be a problem with the internet hub itself, and I'll have to see an internet techie for that. Who knows? But yeah, I agree with Loudmouth. I mean, I think it's hard for anyone to disagree with Loudmouth. The idea of them just, purifying water to get more water. Anyway, this is from CNSnews.com. California's crazy left-wing politics responsible for water rationing. California suffers from droughts, but the state's government is an endless well of bad ideas. The latest absurd legislation, which Governor Jerry Brown, a Democrat, signed into law, places onerous restrictions on water usage. California citizens will be limited to using 55 gallons of water a day now and just 50 per day by 2030. What the F? According to the San Jose Mercury News, the new laws will require cities, water districts, and large agricultural water districts to set strict annual water budgets, face fines of $1,000 per day if they don't meet them, and $10,000 a day during drought emergencies.
So basically, you can't water your grass and take a shower in the same day.
Yeah,
pretty much.
You can't do laundry and shower at the same time. I mean, forget watering grass. I mean, what if I want to clean my clothes and clean my own self?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love having a front lawn that's made entirely of dirt?
Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of decreases the property value of your house. I mean, if you're seeking to sell it, but if I wasn't seeking to sell my house, as far as I'm concerned, that's more of a luxury than, say, clean clothes or clean body.
Well, yeah, I agree those things are more important, but generally, if it doesn't rain for a while, I still make sure my lawn is watered.
Yeah, but this is another bad idea by more left-wing politicians in California. First, it was the whole AIDS thing where it's only a misdemeanor now, and
Which is
now the
pure
water
insanity.
rationing.
You know what I really love is STD have risen in California. All right, and they're blaming racism for that, or somehow not the fact that they restricted the penalties on
You're
spreading
not the water
STDs.
rationing though is some sort of agenda to hurt people. It's not. There's a drought.
Yeah,
Oh,
but there's the ocean. You just need to get rid of the salt and other germs, and boom, clean water.
So here's the only problem with them doing that whole thing about the water thing is that they're only applying it to individual citizens, not private businesses. They need to be applying it to places like golf courses.
Didn't you say something about agricultural areas getting strict fines? Wouldn't golf courses? I mean, they're not really agriculture, but I imagine watering the golf course would definitely kind of fall under
Well,
that.
I hope so, but probably not. They'll probably let all those businesses away with it.
No.
I mean, yeah, if I agree, if you are going to have this law at all, like apply it equally. But as far as like comparing watering a golf course to watering your crops and so on and so forth, the golf course is a luxury. Like, why? Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is, yeah, it is a luxury, but they don't give a shit. That's what I'm saying. The amount of water wasted on golf courses is insane.
It is.
Did you say that they were finding? Did you say that they were finding golf course businesses and not agricultural businesses?
No. I said that they should be if they're doing it. They should be finding like.
Oh, so they're. Oh, yeah. That's bullshit. If they aren't going to be do that, I mean, if they aren't going to be doing it that way, if they're going to be doing this at all. But honestly, obviously, I'm a libertarian, and so I don't think this type of regulation should happen at all, unless it gets like, you know, absolutely within the next year cataclysmic. As some have noted, the restriction could make it difficult for some California citizens to do laundry and take a shower on the same day without going over the limit.
No.
Oh no, that's impossible.
Well, don't worry. I mean, who cares about basic hygiene? All right, everyone knows chicks dig guys who smell like shit.
Oh, but by the way, I forgot to ask you a question. Out of curiosity, Loudmouth, I mean, you don't have to answer it, but do you own a house or do you live in an apartment?
I own a house.
Oh, I still live in an apartment.
Yeah, you have to learn how to take 5-10 minute showers really quick.
Yeah. A Snopes fact check said that this fine is placed on the water provider, not the consumer, as some have claimed. This misses the fact that the cost of the fines likely will be passed on to the customer.
Well, yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's basic math.
Yeah, that's obvious. That's what people don't understand. When you tax any type of product, those costs will be passed on to the customers. So, oh, we're not taxing the consumers. Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah, screw you, Snopes. Either directly for violations, indirectly through increased cost of water, or worse, by threatening to shut off household water consumption to avoid fines. Even some left-leaning outlets admitted the impact on consumers is unknown, and the 55-gallon limit is much lower than the average summer usage for the typical Californian. Taking a shower and doing laundry could exceed that amount for some. According to the Sacramento Bee, the State Water Resources Control Board estimates California residents used an average of 90 gallons of indoor and outdoor water per day in 2017, down from 109 gallons in 2013. Well, you better start decreasing that consumption a lot lower if you're going to be screwing yourself in the ass this way with these fines, California. Californians will pay for this law one way or another, making it just a little harder for the middle class to thrive. The problem also threatens the state's enormous and important agricultural industry, which is where most of the state's water goes. Yeah, and California is like one of the big providers for fruits, isn't it? I mean, if this affects California, it'll pretty much affect the entire country in some food areas. I mean, am I wrong in this, Sharon
Probably
Loudmouth?
not, but I could probably use a little less feeding.
Well, speak
No,
speak for
that's
yourself.
all the time though. Is it's always like,
Hey, you guys speak for yourself. I'm a skinny fuck.
but it's always like, oh, the middle class, the middle class, the middle class. Not, oh, who gives a shit about everyone else? Who gives a fuck?
The problem also threatens the state's. Oh, okay. I already read that paragraph. Excuse me. In addition to this legislation, the state is also considering a new tax on drinking water to pay for new infrastructure projects. Damn. The question is, are these kinds of laws necessary? Regardless of how punitive the water usage laws end up being, debate over the details obscures the fact California is always quick to crack down on the individual behavior of citizens with obnoxious regulations before it works to efficiently manage its resources. Excuse me. Instead of promoting efficient pro-growth policies, state leaders are enthralled to environmentalist ideology and utopian spending schemes that have created poverty and, yes, economic inequality, even as the state goes through an economic boom. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about government intervention, I'd rather if like the government funded for new ways for us to salinate water instead of taxing the crap out of its own citizens over its water usage. That California, the richest state in the union and one which in no way suffers for a lack of tax revenue, cannot find a way to manage its water resources without cracking down with burdensome regulation is telling. Droughts are nothing new in California, especially in the desert south, but the increasing inability to deal with them is. California wastes enormous sums of money on a bullet train to nowhere and other excessive spending priorities.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, holy shit. That was a huge boondoggle.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember Reason TV talking about that, of how the bullet train was failing, but other clean energy markets that were more privatized were actually succeeding over California's government-funded bullet train.
What, you mean a competitive free market does things more efficiently than government entities that don't need to compete?
Well,
What
imagine
madness
my
is
shock.
this, Zach?
Well, imagine my shock.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes way too much sense to be true.
So anyway, but it has neglected to strengthen its water management infrastructure, leaving it susceptible to shortages and rationing. Yeah, I mean, forget about efficient transportation. What about efficient water sourcing? Because that is like more of a need than fast transportation. I mean, if push comes to shove, people can just walk or go back to, or go more towards riding horses or something. But water, that's definitely needed for life. As Joel Kotkin, if that's how you pronounce it, as Joel Kotkin, fellow in urban studies at Chapman University, explained in a 2015 interview with Reason, the problem goes beyond water. The water situation in California is pretty bad, he said. You have to understand that we haven't built any new infrastructure for the last 20 years. What the fuck? I mean, fund your own infrastructure, like I said earlier, rather than taxing the crap out of your own citizens. Jeez. This, by the way, is not unique to water. It's roads, it's schools, it's an unwillingness to invest in the future because we spend all our money in government paying the pensions of employees. And through this crisis, California has spent enormous resources to protect the Delta smelt, a 3-inch fish that appears to be going extinct despite enormously wasteful environmental projects. Yeah, I remember that whole debacle. Like, they were diverting water away from the farms and into the ocean, I think is what it was. So they ended up in a drought because of that, and food production decreased. All because of a stupid fish that only had the most minor differences to other types of fish. To protect smelt from water pumps, government regulators have flushed 1.4 trillion gallons of water into the San Francisco Bay since 2008, according to a 2015 report in the Wall Street Journal. okay. The source that I had originally read that story was not from the Wall Street Journal. I do not know if you're doing yourself any good, CNS News, by sourcing the Wall Street Journal. That would have
If
been
this
enough
is true,
to.
that's such a waste of water.
Yep. That would have been
Well, the
enough to
oceans are really
sustain.
the thing that need that water. I mean, without us putting water in the ocean, how would the ocean stay wet?
Even though there's still trillions and upon trillions of water remaining in the ocean to this day.
I'm just a big mess of sarcasm today, aren't I?
Oh yeah, no, keep it up. We can use the sarcasm, Loudmouth.
Yes.
Sarcasm for California.
That would have been enough to sustain 6.4 million Californians for 6 years. Yet a survey of young adult smelt in the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta last fall yielded just 8 fish. Wow. The lowest level since 1967. Wow. 1.4 trillion gallons of water, all that for 8 fish. Kill me.
Totally worth it.
Fucking kill me now. California must find a way to deal with its water shortages. The state may be recovering from a drought, but more are sure to come. Instead of nickel and diming taxpayers and creating onerous restrictions, the state should focus on getting its finances in order and prioritizing basic infrastructure needs over fruitless left-wing welfare schemes. End of article. Okay. Yeah, that was quite interesting. Don't know how much longer you want me to go on, Loudmouth. There's actually a couple of the fiction of federally funded infrastructure. You know what? Screw it. Since we're on the issue of infrastructure, as we just got off of that article, I'll just go and read this one. The fiction of federally funded infrastructure. This from the Hill. Oh, 1 second. I'm going to do something here for a second.
But my roads.
My roads, bruh.
The roads, yeah. Actually, thank you for the donation, Zach.
Yeah, I'm getting kind of sad as to how nobody was donating. I mean, hopefully Connor Johnson gets in here, your most generous subscriber, or somebody.
Yeah. My live streams never really do too well. I mean, even though I got like 11 times the subscribers you do, I'm not really getting any more views.
Well, that sucks.
Weird.
The fiction of
don't like live streams, I guess.
They like movie reviews better.
Yes.
This from the Hill. The fiction of federally funded infrastructure. Members of Congress are used. Members of Congress, excuse me, are used to log rolling each other to move as many projects from their district's wish list onto a joint list of projects that can garner 218 votes in the House and 51 votes in the Senate. Old habits die hard. Even after a long experience, that federal earmarking produces far less than optimal results. When Congress talks infrastructure, there is an albatross in the room. Federal grant funding. Earmarks make good news today, but tomorrow's taxpayers own the albatross, 10 times the earmark. One fundamental misunderstanding is the source of the problem. Commentators wrongly describe Congress's role in financing and delivering infrastructure owned and managed by state and local governments. For example, in January, Fox News' Chris Wallace asked how the administration could expect that a traditional 80% federal, 20% state funding split could possibly be flipped to 20% federal, 80% state split. The traditional 80%, 20% federal/state funding split to which he alludes is nothing but fiction. The mechanisms by which infrastructure is designed, built, funded, operated, and maintained to obsolescence are complex. The media doesn't understand them. Okay. Well, show us how you understand it a lot better then. Yeah, other than that, I don't trust Fox News. Just FYI to everybody out there. But show us your knowledge, Mr. John Brown Miller, who is the writer of this article. From where does the fiction of an 80%, 20% federal/state funding, English, Zach, funding split come? Prior federal grant programs make grantees responsible for paying to operate and maintain facilities that receive grants. 90% of life cycle costs are incurred during operations after initial design and construction. Federal grants to state and local governments relate only to the other 10%, the cost of initial design and construction. Federal grants fund only the design and construction of new infrastructure. The 1916 U.S. Highway Program, the 1956 Interstate Highway Program, and the 1972 EPA Wastewater Treatment Program did not fund operations and maintenance. That responsibility, 90% of total cost, is left by federal statute to state and local grantees. Okay. For every $1 spent on a facility's design, at least $10 is spent on initial construction, and at least $100 is then spent on operations and maintenance over that facility's life. Yes, Congress funded 80% of the initial cost of the interstates and 3,000 wastewater treatment plants. But this was only for design and construction. 80% of the first $11 spent by a grantee, or $8.80. The next 100 was not funded by grants. The actual federal state split is 8%, 92%. Okay then. Yeah, that's like a big difference from the 80-20 federal state split that Chris Wallace touts out as a claim. For each $8 in federal grants, state and local governments took responsibility for $92 in life cycle cost. Wallace's 80%, 20% split is off by a factor of 10. Federal grant programs have funded 8% or less of life cycle costs. While innocent, this is a profound error. Earmarking state and local projects in Congress encourages senators and members to put a $100 obligation on future officials and taxpayers in their home states and districts in exchange for a politically expedient but small grant of $8 to $9 today. The condition of today's infrastructure shows federal grant policy for the albatross it has become. A federal policy that assumes 90% of total costs do not exist has not ended well. The results are plain. How much longer does this article go on, I wonder? Okay, we're over halfway done. Different ideas about the long-term... Okay, no. Sorry, the ad was just blasting in my ear for a second there. Different ideas about the long-term role of the federal government and state-owned infrastructure are necessary. The administration's plans, including its legislative outline for rebuilding infrastructure in America, may have metaphorical potholes, as Wallace suggested. Yeah, pun intended, since we're talking about infrastructure. But federal grant policy has produced decades of actual potholes. The irony, of course, is that the administration is proposing an increase in federal grant support from 8% to 20% of life cycle costs, more money for the projects that attract binding private sector or state and local funding commitments that cover operations. This is a sea change in logic that would lower life cycle costs. The administration proposes at-risk private sector involvement against contract requirements that raise levels of service within time and budget constraints. There isn't a taxpayer in America opposed to actual accountability in infrastructure services. By pretending to be the traffic cop for all things infrastructure, Congress has pushed away new ideas, contributors, and investment. Federal grants displace at-risk private sector investment to the detriment of the nation. Congress should at least discuss a return to the dual-track strategy of public and private sector infrastructure delivery that built America's basic infrastructure platform. That dual-track That dual track allowed life cycle competition on cost and quality, encouraged new technologies at private risk, and allowed Congress to protect the federal purse by picking its spots with federal interests in mind. During this period, American GDP grew at 16 times the rate of Europe. If Congress doesn't displace the private sector with federal grant programs, the dual track strategy attracts private investment. 2/3 of our infrastructure holdings are in the private sector. The internet and wireless are recent examples. Congress's tactic of earmarks or nothing has failed. Only Congress can open this dead end to different, better ideas. Well, I don't see of how that the federal government should at all get involved in local or state projects. It's almost the implication I'm getting off by those two last statements. What do you guys think? Hello?
Yeah. What's your question exactly?
I was asking, what do you think of this? I mean, sorry, am I boring you?
No, I'm just tired. What is it? In terms of federal, what was it? Federal spending, I believe like 40% goes to the military, but the biggest expenditure actually, and most people don't know this, is actually the elderly. Social Security and Medicare make like a massive percentage of the budget. Or infrastructure spending is like all discretionary spending, including infrastructure. All of it together is like 20% of the budget, I believe. I think that's the figure.
That is kind of small, so maybe it was like a pointless for me to go on about infrastructure in that Hill article. I don't know. I feel like that I might have just bored the audience a bit with that article. I mean, I hope my reading is not too monotonous.
Sorry, I'm just out of it today, man.
Okay. Don't know how long ago on this article. Hopefully, the reading is actually more eye-popping than the display of the website itself.
I was actually on Chair's stream last night, where I like got up at 12 o'clock at night because I couldn't sleep, and Chair was streaming, so I hopped on his stream. Then I went to bed, and then I woke up like only a few hours later. No reason. I wasn't doing anything this morning. I wasn't working. I could have easily slept in, but I didn't.
I see.
It's issues I got, man. I never am able to sleep well.
What were you just doing then? Playing video games this whole morning then?
No. I was thinking of doing a video on the Huffington Post doxing situation, and I still might make that, but I was researching some facts, and the victim of the Huffington Post dox kind of was doxing people herself, it seems. So kind of makes it hard to portray her as too much of a victim in the situation.
I just noticed the title of the stream. Use the strike force, Luke. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to mirror this on my channel as well.
Okay.
The Judicial Watch blog, Corruption Chronicles. Arizona border ranchers live in fear as illegal immigration crisis worsens. This on May 17th, 2018. So this is fairly recently, like at least half a month old. And yeah, I mean, you would think that Trump would be cracking down a whole lot on the immigration crisis, but or illegal immigration crisis more specifically. But let's see what Judicial Watch has to say about that. More than 500,000 illegal immigrants of several dozen nationalities have been apprehended on John Ladd's, I think that might be pronounced John Ladd's sprawling cattle ranch in southeastern Arizona. Ladd has also found 14 dead bodies on his 16,500-acre farm. Wow.
Damn.
Oh, hey, what's up, trainer?
Just got home from work.
For some reason, I thought for a second there you might have been Aspie. I mean, you kind of sound similar to him to a certain extent.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Aspie can't be here because he's fucking naked ape in the ass.
Get
Damn it,
roasted,
Loudmouth.
Aspie. You're gonna take that if you're still watching, anyways.
Bad Loudmouth. Go sit in your corner.
found 14 dead bodies, which has been in his family for well over a century, or on his farm, which has been in his family for well over a century, and sits between the Mexican border and historic State Route 92. Holy shit, Trainer! What the fuck are you opening up?
Trainer, mute yourself if you're doing that, dude. Okay.
Loading.
Is opening up a candy wrapper or something?
Yeah, but if you do that, if you open up a candy wrapper or something else that's noisy, mute yourself, please.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Okay. So the property shares a 10.5-mile border with Mexico. I mean, if you are going to actually say some, well, then go ahead and unmute yourself by all means. The property shares a 10.5-mile border with Mexico, making it a popular route for human and drug smugglers evading a meager force of border patrol agents in this mountainous region. As big as that number sounds, many more got away, said National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd of the hundreds of thousands arrested on Ladd's parcel. Judd spent a chunk of his decades-long career with the agency patrolling the area, and he knows it well. It's gotten more violent. It's gotten worse. Yeah, I mean, what did you say about that wall, Trump? I mean, imagine my shock. He became a typical politician and has not kept his promise on that, has he?
No. Mexico's gonna pay for that wall any day. Their check just keeps getting lost in the mail.
Guys,
Right.
what's the legal
keep
age to be president again?
35.
Give me 10 years, I'll be president.
All right. But
I'll build that
Exactly how it
fucking
works.
wall.
Everyone becomes president as soon as they turn 35.
Loudmouth, how old are you?
30.
5 more years, Loudmouth for president.
Yeah.
he can run for president right after. Not Ryan. As part of an ongoing investigation into the critical security issues created by the famously porous southern border, Judicial Watch visited frustrated ranchers and residents in Sierra Vista, a Cochise County town located 75 miles southeast of Tucson, with a population of around 44,000. The town sits in the picturesque Sonoran Desert and is surrounded by the scenic Huachuca Mountains. I'm probably butchering half of these names. Illegal immigrants and drug smugglers. Yeah, I meant to say smugglers, not smellers. Illegal drug smellers. Illegal immigrants and drugs.
Well, that is how you take cocaine.
They are the testers of the drug, is what they are.
Yes.
Illegal immigrants and drug smugglers are devastating the area, and many longtime residents live in fear. Some are too scared to enjoy a simple pastime, horseback riding on their own land. I can't guarantee there's not a dead body somewhere in my ranch right now, said Ladd, pointing to his property as he stood in front of the U.S. government's border fence, an area known as the shit ditch, because illegal immigrants use it as a toilet and trash. What
the shit ditch?
Oh, hey, B.
What did I step into?
Hey,
I don't know.
that's awesome.
You
The
just
shit
said-
ditch.
Is Zach reading his manifesto before he's go on a shooting?
Wait, what?
No.
He's gonna go find a Mexican restaurant and say, go back to Mexico, you damn dirty sticks.
Man, not. I know you'd just trying to make dark jokes, but I don't want that on my stream, dude.
All right.
Yeah, keep it toned down. It's not
tone
my
down.
stream.
I'll make jokes, but not. That's too dark.
Okay.
Too edgy.
What is this exactly?
I'm talking about illegal immigration. Just this from Judicial Watch. Arizona border ranchers live in fear as the illegal immigration crisis worsens.
Yeah,
As this one guy, Mr. Ladd, describes of how he found 14 dead bodies at least.
On his property.
Yeah, on his property and so on and so forth. Where was I? I cannot remember exactly.
Mr. Ladd, what are you doing on the weekends?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, cheese and crackers.
Okay, there we go. Sporting a thick gray mustache and a dapper cowboy hat, is that what you're into, Ham? Lad said in its heyday in the mid-1990s through 2005, about 200 to 300 illegal aliens were caught daily passing through his property. We don't have any control of the border, he said. I see it every day. A 60-foot wide dirt road known as a federal easement separates Lad's ranch from Mexico. Some portions have an 18-foot iron fence along the border that Lad says illegal immigrants easily climb with a pack of dope. Okay, so they're smuggling drugs. Other sections have a laughable wire fence that has been repeatedly penetrated with vehicles speeding through from Mexico. Either that or you could use like wire cutters or bolt cutters or something. Some areas.
That's what she said.
Okay. Some areas have been visibly patched where holes were carved out for passage. The fence is such a joke that the Border Patrol installed concrete barriers along a busy 2-mile stretch across the 60-foot dirt road, right in front of the barbed wire barrier on Lad's property line to stop smugglers. Smugglers even put a hydraulic ramp so a car or truck could blow through. Lad said. He estimates that around 70% of the traffic that comes through his ranch is human smuggling and 30% is drug smuggling. In the last 3 years, most of the illegal border crossers have been Central American, Ladd said. The veteran rancher first became concerned with the unprotected border decades ago because sick Mexican cows threatened his herd. The problem became more serious. Over the years. First it was Mexican cows, then people, then dope. Ladd said. Now it's really bad. Ladd has traveled to the nation's capital 7 times to bring attention to the crisis in Sierra Vista, but Washington bureaucrats have failed to take any action. Instead, the federal government has placed ineffective or faulty surveillance equipment in the region that smugglers easily evade. Okay, before I go on any further, I got a question. Ham, if I'm not mistaken, you're pretty right-leaning when it comes to immigration, right?
Well, I believe, closed borders, no more immigration. If we want to do a compromise of giving amnesty to all, non-violent criminal illegal immigrants in this nation, so we can, in order to close the border and just cut off immigration, period, I'd be fine with that.
Are we talking?
Yeah.
Wait, hold up. Are we talking about legal or illegal? Are you talking about illegal, Ham?
I'm talking about closing down immigration, period.
Why? Wait, all immigration?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, he said he's pretty isolationist when it comes to that.
Not isolationist. United States is way too over fucking populated. 300 million people. That's unsustainable in this country.
I think if you're going to cut off your borders, that is by definition isolationist.
Well,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be isolationist because we still be doing trade. We still be allowing tourism. We still allow
Fair enough.
All right.
people to visit. I just don't want any more new any more immigration.
Why immigration?
I'd say no more
It's gonna be
Muslims
a
if
lot
anything.
expensive.
No more Muslims.
Too many people.
Too many damn people.
Yeah.
That's because of too high of a birth rate, though.
Huh?
Good way to solve that would just be to stop paying people to have kids.
Yeah. We don't pay people to have kids.
That'd
Yeah,
be
we
great.
do. How many benefits do people get for their kids off the government?
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Food, education, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Loudmouth does have a point.
yeah. No, you don't. You just said food and education. That's
They do.
duh.
So
Yeah, you get more food
you
stamps
admit
if you
to it.
have more kids.
How the fuck do you expect to succeed as a society if you don't invest in your future? The United States of America is the way it is because our education system sucks.
I agree.
Our kids are going to school hungry.
Our kids are a bunch of pussies.
Because how many people are having way too many kids that they can't afford and can't support. Why are people doing this?
Because America.
Stupid
Why
people
do we have so many?
stupid people are reproducing.
Exactly.
Yeah, they
Idiocracy is happening. And all right, and there needs to be some way of trying to slow it down or something.
Increased education. It's a
But
fact that
if you ever watched Idiocracy, all right, the reason why society gets dumbed down is not because people weren't getting educated enough. That wasn't what caused the decline.
Yeah, and how about you shut the fuck up and like let me finish what I'm saying? It's a known fact that more intelligent people have less kids. So if you educate your kids, make them smarter, you exercise their brain muscle in between their ears, they'll grow up and realize that, hey, I really can't afford a third fucking kid.
Yeah.
Or whatever number, kid.
Well,
Instead,
yeah, right. A million years ago, though, if you had kids that you couldn't support on your own, you couldn't
They died.
afford. Yeah, they didn't survive.
Well, here's the thing about kids. The reason why we have so many kids is because that the reason why we have so many kids, we're constantly fucking and pushing out babies is, way back when, before we had modern medicine, most of them died. Most mothers would also die during childbirth.
No, not most mothers.
More mothers dying, than we have today.
Well, certainly, yes.
Yeah.
Like hell, even in the Bible, they wouldn't consider a baby to be a living human being until it's 1 month old, because there's a good chance, it would die before it became a month old.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe they could incentivize welfare benefits to having fewer kids. Like if you got, say, vasectomy or something, you'd get more benefits. Maybe they could use welfare to try to discourage people from just multiplying like rabbits.
Yeah, I'd be fine with a system that encourage, responsible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're gonna have welfare, all right, fine, all right, for taking care of the kids that are here, but you should have a system that discourages people from having more kids and and just starting massive families and getting more and more money as a result, which is the system we got now.
All right. So if I may finish off the article, I think this might be the last article for the show.
Okay. Right.
Instead, the federal government has placed ineffective or faulty surveillance equipment in the region that smugglers easily evade. The smugglers know the radio range and avoid it, Judd said, adding that cameras are installed in the wrong spot and don't have great resolution. On a hill adjacent to Ladd's Ranch stands an imposing camera tower that could never capture illegal border crossers because its view is completely blocked by a sea of lush trees below. The government spent $1.3 million on the useless equipment and never bothered to study the terrain's impact on the technology. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, simply installed the equipment based on a predetermined formula that separates the cameras by a fixed number of miles without considering the landscape, according to Judd. They didn't do any research on the topography, he said. These kinds of failures frustrate local ranchers who feel increasingly threatened by the barrage of illegal crossers rampaging through their property. With both thumbs resting on his thick bronze belt buckle, Ladd looked up at the pointless camera tower, smiling, and quipped, "Now that's a big boondoggle right there, a total waste of taxpayer dollars." And by the way that it's being described here, it does definitely seem like that. Another troubled property owner, John Guerrero, took Judicial Watch on a nighttime tour of a nearby smuggling route that is inexplicably unprotected. The dirt road runs through the Coronado National Forest, and Guerrero, a retired U.S. Army Ranger and intelligence officer who served in Iraq and Somalia, has felt the impact of the government's failure to adequately guard it. 5 strands of barbed wire serve as the physical boundary between the U.S. and Mexico in a remote portion of the park, which is closed to the public at night and is heavily transited by drug and human smugglers. Illegal immigration has had such a devastating impact on the area that Guerrero wrote a book offering detailed anecdotes of what he and his family endure because they live near the Mexican border. This includes drugs and illegal immigrants piling into vehicles on the road adjacent to his 4-acre property and ultralight aircraft flying near his rooftop, just above the trees. En route to make a drug drop. Local residents are increasingly fearful, Guerrero said. The event that has most impacted Guerrero occurred when smugglers burned down a beloved chapel, Our Lady of the Sierras, situated on a hill across the road from his home. A 75-foot Celtic cross outside the chapel remains lit through the night and serves as a navigational tool for smugglers, and the grounds are regularly used to transfer drugs. In 2011, illegal immigrant smugglers started the fire along the border to escape the Border Patrol during a pursuit. Besides the chapel, which has since been rebuilt, the fire destroyed nearly 30,000 acres and dozens of homes. Guerrero and his family were forced to evacuate. Widespread media coverage admitted that illegal immigrants were responsible for the fire, but a local news station finally reported that the Cochise County Sheriff confirmed the fire started 200 yards north of the Mexican border in an area known as Smuggler's Gulch. There was absolutely no mention by the federal government as to the true origin of the fire, Guerrero said. Judd, who heads the union that represents some 16,000 Border Patrol agents nationwide, says the border can be secured. There has to be political will to secure the border, he said. The frontline agency had tremendous faith that the Trump administration would finally get the job done. Yeah, look at how that turned out. But the stats tell a different story. Shortly after Trump became president, there was a dip in the number of illegal immigrants entering the U.S. through Mexico, Judd said. However, by April 2018, we were back to the Obama high of illegal border crossers, Judd confirmed. Sierra Vista residents like Ladd and Guerrero continued to suffer the consequences of anemic border control and worry about the crime that has infested their once idyllic town, if that's how you pronounce it. The problem is so rampant that Ladd often sees smuggling spotters from his property on the nearby mountains in the Mexican side. They're right there every day, he said. They live in camps and have solar generators. Their job is to look out. Residents in Sierra Vista feel no one is looking out for them. End of article. And that's the last one for the show. What do you guys think?
I don't really know what to say, to be honest. Just
Yeah, me neither.
This has been going on for decades. It's really nothing new.
We need a wall of turrets, machine gun turrets every 2 feet. No, as soon as one machine gun turret ends, another one begins, and it's a 2,000-mile long wall of just that.
Well, that would certainly would end illegal immigration. It would be horrifically expensive, horrifically immoral, but hey, it would solve that issue, I guess.
Or I kind of want to point out some I noticed in the article a certain timeline, like the height of the immigration thing that was going on was like from like 1990 something to like 2005, and then I guess it just suddenly drops off. What happened around 2005?
You're talking about the stock market crash, housing crisis, and the late Bush.
I was trying to make a joke where Obama, helped ruin the country so much that illegal immigrants no longer want to come here. Which is actually true.
Not really a joke. That's actually true. When the American economy took a downturn, illegal immigration decreased because illegal immigrants didn't have as many opportunities, and thus there wasn't much reason to make the crossing anymore.
I have an idea to stop illegal immigrants.
There's a solution to illegal immigration. Just crater the nation's economy.
If I remember correctly, we do actually have a net immigration loss with Mexico.
Okay, so we found the solution to the problem. Just turn our country into a giant steaming shithole, and no one will want to come here anymore.
Well, let's be honest.
The fence that'll catch guys' dicks and balls and women's vulvas on the fence and watch them squirm.
Hi, JJ.
Just kidding. Let's take off their genitals and mount them on the fence. And
let's be honest, they do have to go.
Oh yeah, we got a bunch
to
of
America.
I think Cam was wanting to make a point.
Joffrey Baratheon's here.
They have to go through Texas in order to get to America, which is a pretty big deterrent.
Can we just do the Vlad the Impaler method?
And also, a lot of them come on planes and get their visas and overstay their visa.
Yeah,
But seriously, man, back to the welfare state. Honestly, there really wouldn't be any problem with mass legal immigration if we didn't have a welfare state. They would only benefit the economy if they came here and they weren't able to get welfare benefits from the taxpayers. So again, it's always the welfare state that's really the cause of all these problems.
Yeah, it's if we made sure that the people on the welfare state are actual citizens, because I 100% do not believe in giving welfare to illegals. That's for
neither do I. But the main thing though, yeah, there's just so many Americans who just have this sense of entitlement. Like when they get their welfare check, they don't have any shame over it. Oh my God, I need to get a job. I need to turn my life around. I'm having to rely on the state. If everyone had that attitude, it wouldn't be much of a problem. The real problem is there's so many people who just see that they're just owed this money as like the price for existing. The fact that you're able to squeeze out of your mom's vulva means that you're entitled to this money.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious that we'd be in a much worse state if we didn't have a welfare state. Because the average paying job, it pays $30,000 a year. I'm making $30,000 a year, and I can just barely afford all my living expenses, and I'm living in a shitty.
Right, you're working a real job. You're contributing to society. Why should part of your taxpayer dollars or my taxpayer dollars go to some asshole who doesn't want to work and just wants to pump out babies?
Because I don't want to live in a society where I see a bunch of bums on the street. I'd much rather have them be housed in a decent enough one-room apartment.
Well, I'd rather they be working, is what I'd rather have.
Well,
the
easiest way for people to get back into working is for them to have a house.
Well, the real problem with those people is a lot of them genuinely don't want to work. A lot of them don't want jobs.
Most homeless people are war veterans. They have PTSD. They have mental issues.
They have mental issues, yeah.
That is very true. We need to treat our veterans a lot better than we do now.
I agree.
It's veterans and it's mentally ill people. And why do we have so many mentally ill people on the streets? We don't have a system that can house and treat them. Going back to we need a single payer healthcare system.
Oh God.
If these people could function normally in their brain, they could work.
People don't think. You have to realize this.
I mean, I'm on the autistic spectrum, yet I still work a job. I don't leech off the taxpayers.
Yeah,
fuck. I mean, ADHD.
That's only one form of mental illness.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you gotta like take into consideration the amount or the volume of how mentally ill a person is.
Right. Well. Yeah. Obviously, my condition is nowhere near as bad as some people's.
You're high functioning.
Although the vampire men that live with me probably will tell me otherwise.
Wait, what?
I was my attempt at a joke. Never mind. Like I'm delusional. Yeah, I live with the mole people as well. They're pretty awesome.
Fucking mole people.
Yeah, the fucking mole people.
Fuck the mole people, crab people.
Oh fuck! You know what? I should have said that from the beginning. What an asshole I am that I didn't say crab people instead. Crab people.
Hell, I would rather live with gargoyles than most humans.
Yeah, but that's because gargoyles protect. But think about it, though. According to the comics, female gargoyles only go into heat once every 10 years. That would explain why there's so many blue gargoyles. It's an extension of a condition known as blue balls.
Now I know the reason why Damona's blue.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
You
Alright.
got.
So we
you
can
get-
sum up this. We can sum up this program if you'd like, Loudmouth. I mean, you said you wanted to go on for not much longer than an hour.
We can go for a little. We can talk a little.